Hello and welcome to the part 2 of the Sunlit LaceTop knitting tutorial. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, be sure to check it out. You can find the link in the description below. In the part 1 we learned the lace stitch and completed the back piece of the LaceTop. Now, in the part 2 we will shift our focus on the front piece and add the finishing touches. So grab your knitting needles and yarn and let's dive into the next chapter of this exciting knitting journey. The front piece follows a similar pattern to the back piece, with a few adjustments. Let's start with part 1, the body. This part is identical to the back piece, so please refer to the instructions I provided earlier. Once you have completed part 1, it's time to move on to the part 2, the armholes. Just like in the back piece, we will be shaping the armholes to ensure a perfect fit. Follow the instructions and work row 8 as we did in the back piece. This is the length before the neckline. Now it's time to focus on shaping the neckline. I currently have 42 stitches for size S on the needle. Let's begin casting off for the neckline. I start with row 9 on the right side and slip 1 stitch knitwise, purl 1, yarn over, purl 2 together, and then repeat the pattern yarn over, purl 2 together 6 more times. After completing the pattern, I have 16 stitches on the right needle for the right shoulder, and I cast off the next 10 stitches for the neckline. I have 1 stitch on the right needle after the cast off. Now let's focus on the left shoulder. Purl 1 stitch, tighten the yarn to prevent a hole after the cast off, and repeat yarn over, purl 2 together 6 times. Then purl 2 stitches. And I have 16 stitches on the right needle for the left shoulder. The row 9 is finished and I have 3 sections: right shoulder, neckline, and left shoulder. I will be working on the left shoulder separately while keeping the stitches for the right shoulder on the needle. You may use a contrasting yarn to hold them. Starting with row 1 on the wrong side, slip 1 stitch knitwise, purl 1, and then repeat the pattern yarn over, purl 2 together until the last 2 stitches. Purl 1, knit 1. Continuing on the right side, in the row 2, slip 1st stitch purlwise, purl 1, purl 2 together, and then repeat the pattern yarn over, purl 2 together until the last 2 stitches. Row 3 on the wrong side. Slip 1st stitch knitwise, purl 1, and yarn over, purl 2 together to the last stitch. Knit 1. Row 4 on the right side. Slip 1st stitch purlwise, purl 2 stitches together, and yarn over, purl 2 together to the last 2 stitches. Purl the last 2 stitches. I have 14 stitches. Row 5 on the wrong side. We will repeat row 1. slip first stitch, knit twice, purl 1, and then repeat the pattern yarn over, purl 2 together until the last 2 stitches. Purl 1, knit 1. Row 6 on the right side. Repeat row 2. Slip 1 stitch purlwise, purl 1, purl 2 together, and then repeat the pattern yarn over, purl 2 together until the last 2 stitches. Purl the last 2 stitches. I have 13 stitches. Row 7 on the wrong side. Repeat row 3. Slip first stitch, knit twice, purl 1, yarn over, purl 2 together to the last stitch. Knit 1. Row 8 on the right side. Repeat row 4. Slip first stitch purlwise, purl 2 stitches together, yarn over, purl 2 stitches together to the last 2 stitches. Purl 2 stitches. I have 12 stitches. Row 9 on the wrong side. Repeat row 1. Slip first stitch, knit twice, purl 1, and then repeat the pattern yarn over, purl 2 together until the last 2 stitches. Purl 1 stitch, knit 1 stitch. Row 10 on the right side. Repeat row 2. Slip 1 stitch purlwise, purl 1, purl 2 stitches together, and then repeat the pattern yarn over, purl 2 stitches together until the last 2 stitches. Purl the last 2 stitches. I have 11 stitches. Row 11 on the wrong side. Repeat row 3. Slip first stitch, knit twice, purl 1, and yarn over, purl 2 together to the last stitch. Knit 1. Row 12 on the right side. Repeat row 4. Slip first stitch purlwise, purl 2 together, and yarn over, purl 2 together to the last 2 stitches. Purl the last 2 stitches. I have 10 stitches. Row 13 on the wrong side. Slip first stitch, knit twice, purl 1, yarn over, purl 2 together to the last 2 stitches. Purl 1, knit 1. Row 14 on the right side. Slip first stitch purlwise, purl 1, yarn over, purl 2 together to the last 2 stitches. Purl the last 2 stitches. Continue repeating row 13 and 14 until the piece measures approximately 25 cm or 10 inches from the armhole marker. Make sure to finish on the wrong side. Finally, cast off on the right side. Great job on completing the left shoulder. Now let's move on to the right shoulder and continue shaping it. If you slipped the stitches earlier, return them to the needle and join the yarn at the beginning of the wrong side near the neckline. Then they will continue knitting towards the armhole. I have 16 stitches on my needle for size S. Row 1 on the wrong side. Slip first stitch purlwise, purl 1, and yarn over, purl 2 together to the last 2 stitches. Purl the last 2 stitches. Row 2 on the right side. Slip first stitch, knit twice, purl 1, yarn over, purl 2 together to the last 4 stitches. Purl 2 stitches together, purl 1, knit 1, and I have 15 stitches. Row 3 on the wrong side. Slip first stitch purlwise, yarn over, purl 2 together to the last 2 stitches. Purl the last 2 stitches. Row 4 on the right side. Slip first stitch knit twice, purl 1, yarn over, purl 2 together to the last 3 stitches. Purl 2 stitches together. Knit 1. I have 14 stitches. Row 5 on the wrong side. Repeat row 1. Slip first stitch purlwise, purl 1, and yarn over, purl 2 together to the last 2 stitches. Purl the last 2 stitches. Row 6 on the right side. Repeat row 2. Slip first stitch knit twice, purl 1, and yarn over, purl 2 together to the last 4 stitches. Purl 2 stitches together. Purl 1 stitch, knit 1 stitch. I have 13 stitches. Row 7 on the wrong side. Repeat row 3. Slip first stitch purlwise, yarn over, purl 2 together to the last 2 stitches. Purl the last 2 stitches. Row 8 on the right side. Repeat row 4. Slip first stitch knit twice, purl 1, repeat yarn over, purl 2 together to the last 3 stitches. Purl 2 stitches together, knit 1, and I have 12 stitches. Row 9 on the wrong side. Repeat row 1. Slip first stitch purlwise, purl 1, repeat yarn over, purl 2 together to the last 2 stitches. Purl 2 stitches. Row 10 on the right side. Repeat row 2. Slip first stitch knit twice, purl 1, and yarn over, purl 2 together to the last 4 stitches. Purl 2 stitches together. Purl 1, knit 1. I have 11 stitches. Row 11 on the wrong side. Repeat row 3. Slip first stitch purlwise, and yarn over, purl 2 stitches together to the last 2 stitches. Purl 2 stitches. Row 12 on the right side. Repeat row 4. Slip first stitch knit twice, purl 1, and yarn over, purl 2 together to the last 3 stitches. Purl 2 stitches together, knit 1, and I finally have 10 stitches. Row 13 on the wrong side. Slip first stitch purlwise, purl 1, and yarn over, purl 2 together to the last 2 stitches. Purl the last 2 stitches. Row 14 on the right side. Slip first stitch knit twice, purl 1, and repeat yarn over, purl 2 together to the last 2 stitches. Purl 1, knit 1. Continue repeating row 13 and 14 until the piece measures approximately 25 cm or 10 inches from the armhole marker for size S. Make sure to finish on the wrong side. Finally, cast off on the right side. Great work, everyone! We have just completed the front piece of our project and you should be incredibly proud of your knitting skills. The finish line is in sight. Now let's take a moment to appreciate your progress and quickly sew the shoulders and side seams. Once that's done, it's time for the exciting part, trying on the top. So keep up the fantastic work and let's continue to enjoy this wonderful knitting adventure together. Now that we have our front and back pieces ready, it's time to bring them together and sew the shoulder seams. Grab your tapestry needle and a length of yarn and let's get started. Place both the back and front pieces right side out, aligning the shoulder edges. Thread your tapestry needle with the yarn, leaving a tail for weaving in later. Begin sewing the shoulder seams by inserting the needle through the edge stitches of both the back and front pieces. Pull the yarn through gently, making sure not to pull too tightly. This will allow the seam to lay flat and prevent any puckering. Continue stitching along the shoulder seam, working your way from one side to the other. Once you reach the end of the first shoulder seam, secure the yarn by weaving it through the stitches, or you may make a knot. Cut the yarn. Repeat the same process on the other side to sew the second shoulder seam. Take pride in your work and enjoy the satisfaction of seeing your pieces come together. Now let's move forward in our knitting project by sewing the side seams. Align the edges of the pieces, ensuring they're right side out, and use a tapestry needle and yarn to stitch from bottom up. Repeat the process on the other side. We are getting closer to seeing the final result of our hard work. So, you have carefully followed the instructions, but it seems that the neckline is too deep. Don't worry, we can easily fix it. First, remember that we will be adding 2.5 or 1 inch of ribbing, which will help to adjust the depth. But if it still appears too deep, here's what we can do. Open the shoulder seams and carefully unravel the front piece to the row 8, and then add additional 2 or 4 rows to adjust the depth, and then continue from the row 9. Enjoy this moment of seeing your project come to life. And let's add a stylish ribbing to the armholes and neckline. To start with the armholes, make sure the right side is facing you. Using a 5mm needles with US 8, insert it into the center of the stitch on the row below the cast-off edge. Wrap the new yarn around the needle and pull it through like a regular stitch. Pick up an even number of stitches. Alternatively, you can use a crochet hook to pick up stitches, sliding them from the hook to the needle. Place a marker at the beginning of the row and work one by one rib for 6 rounds, alternating knit and purl stitches. Loosely cast off the stitches, or you can try using a stretchy cast-off method to provide more flexibility. In this part of the tutorial, I will show you the stretchy cast-off method. Let's begin with the knit stitch. Knit the first stitch as usual. Then insert the left needle into the both stitches on the right needle and knit them together through the back loop. Now let's move on to the purl stitch. Purl the next stitch as usual and then purl 2 stitches together. Continue this process of knitting 2 stitches together and purling 2 stitches together until you reach the end of the round. If the armhole size is correct but the ribbing feels too tight, you can pick up 2 stitches from 1 stitch along the shaped edges of the armhole, 8 at the front and 8 stitches at the back. This adjustment should help achieve a better fit. If you are still not satisfied with the armhole fit, don't hesitate to start over from the part 2 for both pieces. It's worth the effort to achieve the perfect fit and create a top you will love wearing. It's time to focus on the neckline. Let's pick up an even number of stitches and give our lace top that perfect finishing touch. With the right side facing you, start from the right and work your way towards the left. It's just like what we did for the armhole, simple and straightforward. Once you have successfully picked up all the stitches for the neckline, it's time to move on the one by one ribbing. Now we are ready for the final step, casting off. Remember, we want a neckline that's not only beautiful but also comfortable to wear, so make sure to cast off the stitches loosely. This will ensure a relaxed and flexible edge. You are doing amazing, keep up the great work, and soon we will have a stunning lace top that's ready to be shown off to the world. Now let's give our knitted top that final touch by blocking it. Blocking helps to set the size and make the stitches look even. It's like giving your knitting a nice pad treatment. Here is how you can block your knitted piece. Fill a sink with a lukewarm water and add a little bit of gentle soap. Put your knitted top into the water and let it soak for a few minutes. Give it a gentle squeeze to make sure it's all wet. Then rinse it carefully a few times if necessary. Squeeze out as much water as you can without twisting or wringing the fabric. Wrap it into a towel and press down to get rid of more water. Lay a clean towel on a flat surface and place your top on it, gently shaping it to the right size. Let it dry completely. When it's dry, you can use a steam iron on the lowest setting to give it a final touch. Just hover the iron on the fabric, being careful not to press too hard. Now try on your new top and see how it looks on you. If you are happy with it, it's time to weave any loose ends to make it look nice and tidy. If you find that your top is either too long or too short, don't worry, we can fix it. Here's what you can do. Adjusting the armhole. If the armhole is not the right size, you need to unravel the ribbing on the neck and armholes and open the shoulder seams. Go back to the part 2 of the pattern and slip the stitches back onto the needle. Start again, making the necessary changes to achieve the desired armhole size. Modifying the body length. If the body of the top needs adjustment in the length, open the side seams. Unravel the stitches back to the part 1 of the pattern. Yes, both pieces. Add or remove rows as needed to achieve the desired length. Then continue following parts 2 and 3 of the pattern. It's okay to make adjustments along the way to ensure your top fits perfectly. Take your time, stay calm, and trust the process. You have got this. Thank you for joining me in this LaceTop knitting tutorial. I hope you enjoyed the process as much as I did. If you found this tutorial helpful and enjoyed watching it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more exciting projects in the future. Your support is like a ray of sunshine to me. Stay inspired, keep creating, and until next time, happy knitting!